When I was young, I used to hear stories about heroes who fought to liberate Africa. But what we were not taught is how some of them got betrayed by the same cause they were fighting so hard to achieve. Unlike majority of people benefited from the colonial freedom and made immense wealth for themselves, this is the story of the unsung hero, Joseph Murubi Zuzate. So, 1963, Kenya gained independence, but let's go back a decade before, in the 1950s. Mau Mau have had enough and there is violent attacks uprising. In 1952, October 20th, a state of emergency was declared. The Kapenguria Six were arrested, accused of managing Mau Mau. Among them was Jomo Kenyatta. Mau Mau was an anti-colonial movement who were a threat to the British troops. Joseph Murumbi played a crucial key in seeking legal counsel for the detainees. He raised awareness to the world through writings on newspapers such as the Chronicle, speaking of injustices and called for freedom.
The British government had already, or the Kenya government had already decided Mr. Kenyatta was guilty, and it was just going through the form of a trial to convict him. The trial was held at Kapenguria, which is about 30 miles from Kitale. It's a little village, and it was held in a schoolroom. And we had to motor every day 30 miles and back again in the evening. We couldn't stay in the only hotel in Kitale, which was reserved for Europeans at the time. We found it very difficult because the government had access to all the witnesses they needed. They actually had a camp in Kapenguria where the government witnesses were housed and coached. We had to get our witnesses from various parts of the country, and it entailed every evening ringing Nairobi and asking our people here to arrange to find these witnesses and send them to Kapenguria. Naturally, our line was tapped all the time, and they knew who we were after. And we invariably found that when we went to look for this witness, he disappeared. He was not available anywhere. We knew he was locked up somewhere in a camp. He was picked up in order to frustrate the trial.
This made him a target and was under threat of arrest. In 1953 March, he fled the country to India with an agricultural sponsorship. In exile, he worked with sympathetic nationalists in Indian government, which gave him the platform in the Indian press and broadcast on all Indian radio. Why India? Because he was half Kenyan, half Indian. Murumbi was learned and diplomatic. He had worked closely with leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Julius Nyerere, who pressured Britain to release Kenyatta. Murumbi represented Kenya in international forums, including the Lancaster House Conference, advocating for the release of their leader. After Kenya became independent in 1963, he participated in writing its first constitution and was awarded Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was touring, setting ambassadors' offices, securing the future of his country. At this point, you may think that he was finally happy, but he wasn't. Land grabbing was rampant and it threw him off. He felt like Mzee Kenyatta was using too much government power to deal with opposition. In less than 2 years, his mentor and friend Pio Gama Pinto, a critic of the corrupt government, was gunned down. He decided to quit power as vice president only after serving 6 months. Imagine, just one seat away from the next president. This became the most shocking political decision in Kenyan history. Murumbi gained a new passion of collecting African art and forgotten African literature, which amounted to 50,000 rare books in Africa, thousands of African sculpture, paintings and textile, historical documents detailing Kenya's struggle for independence. But just like most of us who slept in history class, the government ignored his legacy. His efforts faded in the background. Even his death was not given the honor it deserved. Although some historians and friends managed to build him a proper burial site, it was still under neglect and general lack of maintenance. They say, tenda wema, nenda zako. Do good and it will follow you. In a world where leaders will do anything just to stay in power, Joseph Murumbi chose heritage over power, integrity over greed. Today he is considered the father of African cultural heritage, a man who did what was right. It's heartbreaking to see that he died without seeing his work being appreciated. And not just Murumbi. Most people have died for a cause they never enjoyed or became part of. Just like a leader said, appreciate people while you still can.
Because the body is just a body. It's nothing. If you want to help anybody, help them when they are alive. If you want to relate with anybody, relate with them when they are alive. Once they go, they have gone.
If you believe it deserves recognition, please give this video a like, subscribe, and keep it locked. My name is Blender J. Peace.